friends, I'm with Dave Asprey. He made me the honor to explain what I have to do to feel better and to lose my belly and to have more testosterone, because after my orchidectomy, I don't have anything.
I've been doing anti-aging research. I've written a major New York Times science book about anti-aging. There's abundant evidence that testosterone at normal levels, that is bioidentical in men, reduces risk of heart attack, Alzheimer's, and cancer. There's old research from when people were either using the wrong forms of testosterone, using incredibly high doses, or in rare cases when there's testosterone receptor-based cancers, where you would go off of testosterone. So they were getting bad data before. But once cancer is cured and it's fully gone, the idea that a man should live his entire life with no testosterone
seems stupid.
Well, it's mean. What's going on here is, what are your values? And if your top value is do not take any risk, well then you should never leave this room. You shouldn't get in your car. You have a 1 in 4,500 chance of getting in a car accident, right? But we do that. So if your cancer is fully resolved and you have done the metabolic things to resolve the cancer, if you have characterized your cancer, was it a genetic cancer? Was it a testosterone-sensitive cancer? Or was it the most common form by far, which is a mitochondrial deficiency kind of cancer, which is what you had?
Yes.
So the idea that, out of an abundance of caution, you should have less desire for everything in life, which is what happens when you lose your testosterone. It affects your brain, it affects your motivation and sex drive and all of that. But even more is just the zest for life.
Yes, and no strength.
Yeah, and your bone density will go down. So my argument would be that quality of life is the most important thing. No one listening to this would say, I'm happy to live another 20 years more than I was going to, if those 20 years, if I have to wear a diaper every day and I can't remember my name. Okay? But modern medicine says that's a win. They didn't die, we win. Not only that, look at the amount of money we made from all of the care that person needed. So we just have to say, screw you guys, I am going to be a dangerous person. You're going to have so much energy that who knows what you might do. You can do whatever you decide to do. And you know that if people don't like it, you can do it anyway because you have the resilience and the strength. That comes from 2 hormones for the most part. It comes from testosterone and thyroid. Both of those are anti-cancer hormones in men.
And what I have to do to get my testosterone back?
Given that you're not going to make testosterone.
No.
Right? So you need to supplement testosterone. And the best way to do this is via injections for most people. And it is also possible, and it might work well for you, to get a pellet, where on your hip back here, they make a tiny incision that takes 1 stitch to heal, and they put a pellet in that lasts for 3 months. That's one way of doing it, but it keeps your testosterone levels high, and then it slowly degrades. Twice-a-week injections are what most guys find works well.
Okay.
And for men who haven't had your medical procedures, you can actually take low-dose a compound called Arimidex. There's a company called Maximus Tribe that allows you to take a pill that naturally raises your hormones and makes your body make more testosterone. Yours isn't going to do that. So what you do is you monitor your cancer markers, you take enough testosterone that your body looks and feels the way you want, and given that we have liquid biopsies, we have whole body MRIs you can do, and I've done both of those things, and magically, now you can track what is a risk, but you can have your life. You can have the body that you want, you have the brain you want, you have the energy you want.
I feel like a girl with my boobs.
I used to weigh 300 pounds. When I was 26, my mom had more testosterone than I did because of environmental toxin exposures, because of some genetic things. I've been on testosterone therapy most of the time since I was 26. And I manage my levels to keep them right where they should be for a healthy 30-year-old. And I would say that's probably where you want your levels to be. So you have the sex drive of a 30-year-old, and you have the, I can do whatever I want, I got this, energy back. And now some doctors, and by the way, I'm not a doctor, I'm a biohacker, I have no license, right? I have I write books for doctors. I lecture to doctors, but a cancer doctor.
I do the same
Exactly.
for cancer.
Exactly. So a cancer doctor from the traditional burn, cut, poison school, there is a case for that for some cancers. Sometimes that's very life-saving, so I'm not opposed to those things. I believe that if you don't fix your mitochondria first and foremost, you're going to have trouble. And once a cancer is gone, restricting hormones forever because it might come back, it's monstrous. It is not okay. You deserve to have your quality of life back.
What I say, I continue I change the way I ate. So this I want to continue, of course. I will not eat a bad thing like I did before.
I saw you eat a cookie last night.
Yes, because of you. But today, I want to get my strength again, like before.
Yeah.
But I know that I don't have to eat carbs.
Well, I think you might be wrong there.
Oh, tell me.
There's a belief in the keto community that says if ketosis is good, more ketosis is better. What I've seen over and over in my own experiments and with millions of people who follow my advice is that if you go into ketosis and you stay in ketosis, it creates metabolic stress. It creates insulin resistance. And people say, but your body can make its own sugars by breaking down proteins. Okay?
Of course.
Your body can also survive being dropped off a 4-story building some of the time, but it doesn't mean it's good for you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's ask ourselves the question of, instead of it can do it, what is the best thing for you? And it turns out that periods of ketosis, even 16-hour periods of ketosis, are beneficial. Even ketosis for a week or two can be beneficial. If you do not cycle carbs and come out of ketosis at least every 2 weeks, and ideally every week, you will become metabolically weaker than before. I do not spend
I
every
saw
day in
yesterday
ketosis. I ate carbs.
you ate rice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do it on purpose. I probably get 50, sometimes even 100 grams of carbohydrates on a regular day, but you will not see me eating those at lunch. You will not see me eating those at breakfast, usually. And if the day before I flew across the world, which I did, because we're in Dubai for this interview, and then I lifted heavy, which is stupid to do the day after, but I just felt like it, and I don't even lift heavy more than once every month or two, I said, the next time after that, I'm going to have lots of carbs and I'm going to have lots of protein. And I did the same thing this morning.
And now, explain me for the thyroid.
For the thyroid. So, if testosterone is the hormone of desire, not just sex desire, but I want to do something meaningful. I want to be a good husband, and for women need testosterone too at different levels. I want to be a good person. I want to run a charity. I just want to care.
Yes.
It does that. But okay, now you have that back, but if your thyroid is low, I care, but I'm too tired to do anything. Because thyroid is the energy hormone.
Okay.
And as people age, they routinely lose their thyroid function, but they consider it normal. So in my book called Superhuman, which is how I'm planning to live to at least 180, I talk about that. For people over 40, and in particular over 50, you're going to want to look at your thyroid levels, and if they're not perfect, you start taking small amounts of thyroid. So you have the energy of a young person, and you take the testosterone, and for women, maybe other hormones are necessary as well, like DHEA or progesterone, and maybe even estrogen. None of those are harmful as long as they're the right forms. But you take those to keep your levels so that you feel like you're 30. And it requires the energy of thyroid, and it requires the desire of sex hormones. Those two things make people who go out and do dangerous things, like start companies, like change something that's wrong, like cure cancer in millions of people. You gotta have the energy, gotta have the desire. So my mission right now, I don't want everyone to be so full of energy, so powerful that they're dangerous. Who knows what they might do? They're kind, they're peaceful, they're doing good work because they can do good work.
Yes.
People who are weak and therefore they're safe, that's not the world we want to live in. And if you want to make people who are weak and tired, you take away their sex hormones with a low-fat diet, and you poison their thyroid with fluoride in their water. You do those two things. You create a mineral deficiency, maybe as a third thing. You have people, well, you know, it's a peaceful world because I'm too tired to do anything. I can barely make it home at the end of the day. And you know this feeling.
Yes.
Because your thyroid's low and your testosterone's low. Get on thyroid hormone. Get on testosterone. Work with your doctors. Track your cancer markers. You are in full remission. You have been for years. So how is the testosterone going to somehow activate a cancer that you don't have? I don't think anyone can answer that. So you have to choose your risk, and maybe there's a study that says that that's not the right thing to do for your specific circumstances, but I would read that full study and look at the fine print. You're going to do that, and you're going to say, you know what? I feel like a young man again, in every way, and that's what you want.
And protein, what do you think about that?
I wrote about this in that anti-aging book, Superhuman. Protein's interesting because at this point, the big food industry has convinced us that counting calories is important. That's great, because counting calories lets them sell you junk food as if it's the same as high-quality food. They are not the same. Counting calories provably doesn't work, because you will gain weight if your thyroid is low, even if you eat less calories. So the thing that controls how much you burn matters much
The
more.
metabolism go down.
Yeah. So then, what about protein? Well, protein's the same way. Which protein are we talking about? There's a nerve gas that was used in terrorist attacks in Tokyo. It comes from beans. I think we weren't talking about that protein, right? But that's a plant-based protein. Okay. Well, what about spider venom? That's an animal-based protein. Maybe we need to know what proteins we're talking about here. Okay.
Cool.
So I never want to be in the position of allowing a big food company to sell you an Impossible Burger and say that that protein is the same as the two kinds of protein that work best for humans. The first and most important kind is animal protein, which comes from ruminant animals, animals that eat grass and graze. Cows, sheep, goats, and after that is pigs. After that is geese, turkey, ducks, then chicken, in that order. And that's based on the type of amino acids, and it's based on the type of fats that are in those animals. And I've been teaching this for 12 years now, and people have lost at least 2 million pounds on my diet. Something happened to your camera?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So that's an important thing to understand, because now we've stopped saying how much protein do you need. We said how much animal protein do you need. The second kind of animal protein that is a double-edged sword is dairy protein. If you are not allergic to dairy protein, and many people are, dairy protein can be very beneficial for you, except it needs to come from grass-fed cows, and it should not be pasteurized. And in a cancer situation, in particular, this is important. We know that if you take rats, which get cancer a lot anyway, you give them a mold toxin called aflatoxin from peanuts that causes liver cancer, and then you also give them highly processed dairy protein that it increases cancer risk for liver cancer. That's a tenuous connection. So I would say simply, you can eat your cottage cheese, and it's probably good for you unless you're allergic to it. But just make sure it's cottage cheese from real cows. Yeah,
yes.
Raw would be better. So if people do that, and maybe whey protein can be really good for you, as long as you're not allergic. And the same thing with eggs. Eggs are an amazing protein unless you're allergic. So eggs and milk cause allergies in many people. If you're safe on those, go to town. Most people can eat beef and lamb, and you need a lot more of that than you might think. For your age group, and someone who's trying to lose weight, the equations that work are you take your weight, so I can remember this, it's 0.6 grams per kilo would be the minimum, and you can go up from there. And people say, but too much
Try 1 gram per kilo.
1 gram per kilo is absolutely acceptable, especially because you're putting on muscle.
Yes.
And the other trick is the per kilo, you take away the amount of fat from your weight. So if you have, I'm going to think in pounds because I'm American, but you...
almost 2 pounds.
Yeah, so let's say you have 10 kilos you want to lose. So then you would go through and you would say, I'm going to remove that from this. However, the quality of protein and the type of protein matter greatly, and so does the timing. What you'll find is that you can eat more protein, even 1.2 grams if you want to, but it needs to be in a tighter window so that you have some time every day with your stomach empty. You have to do intermittent fasting some days.
I do homard
Okay.
anyway.
So that may be metabolically stressful for you. I find that most people, especially if you're in recovery from this, if you're exercising, trying to put on muscle, OMAD is a pretty big stress. You probably need a 4 to 6 hour eating window to get the amount of protein you need.
Okay.
Because, I mean, how many grams of protein do you eat on a daily basis?
Protein 1 gram per kilo.
And so how many kilos are
Almost 85.
you? You are not eating 85 grams of protein in a single sitting.
Why you say that?
I saw you.
Ah yes, I ate a lot more because of you.
I can barely, the only way I can get 85 grams of protein, I have to go to a steakhouse that serves grass-fed steak, there aren't many of those, and order 2 orders of steak to get 85 grams of protein. I mean, that's at least a pound of meat. You don't put away a pound of meat.
Of course not.
Okay, so you're
Normally I eat 2 or 3 eggs.
what is that, 7 grams of protein each?
Yes.
Okay, so there you got 21 grams of protein. Where's your other 60 grams coming from?
Perhaps I made mistakes.
You're a low protein dieter is what you are, and that explains a lot of this. So what you're going to have to do, and this is a trick that works great, is take some collagen powder, and I'm the guy who made collagen into $1 billion business globally. Everyone out there who takes collagen, all these different brands, I'm the guy who said collagen for 10 years. Before everyone really started doing this, my company Bulletproof is a leader in that space. So what you want to do is add this protein powder whenever you drink something. And you can get lots of extra protein that way, and collagen is quite good for you when it's from grass-fed animals. You can do, if you handle the dairy proteins, you can even get low-temperature grass-fed whey protein that might work for you.
I forgot to tell you I take protein from fish.
Okay, good.
Also.
Fish collagen?
Yes.
Good. How many scoops?
No, I eat fish.
Yeah, but
No, it's nothing inside.
so a piece of fish is going to be at 20 grams, 25 grams of protein. For me,
Okay.
to look the way I do, I'm taller than you, and
Yes.
I'm reasonably. I'm not. There are guys with a lot more muscle than me, right here.
I
Let's
get
do it like this. Just, you gotta use your
I
fingers.
can do that.
So, I think did I do that last night? Yeah, I ordered 300 grams of steak.
Yes, I made the same.
Right, and I ate another piece of steak. But before dinner, I had 40 grams of protein in my coffee before dinner, and then earlier that day, at around 10 or 11 in the morning, I had 50 grams of protein. So I had 50 plus 40 plus dinner, which was probably 30, maybe 35.
Okay.
So that's the difference. I'm getting enough protein.
We can see the difference, no?
And I remember, I weighed 50% more than I weigh now. And I'm 7.1% body fat right now. I do not diet. I am never hungry. I just eat the food that works for me. And it turns out we're getting low quality protein. We're not getting enough protein, and we're getting too many carbs, and we're getting a ton of omega-6 seed oils. I do not eat any seed oils.
Of course not.
I just don't do it. I don't even eat seeds very often. They're just not worth it. You saw me eat some pistachios last night. That's about all the seed oils I've had. And pistachios have a specific polyphenol that breaks down into an anti-aging compound. So they're a nut that's good for you in moderation. But that's what I do on a regular basis. I intermittent fast. I have my Danger Coffee, which is coffee with minerals enriched in it. It's my new
The
coffee
new
company,
one.
right?
Yes.
And then I make sure that I have protein and maybe some vegetables, low inflammation veggies at lunch. And dinner, I have some carbs. I have a lot of protein and maybe some veggies. And I might have some fruit. Or last night you even saw me have a dessert. We're in Dubai. I ate a baklava. I am gluten-free 99.9% of the time. When I'm in the Middle East, one night I'll always have some gluten. I took a bunch of enzymes.
We cannot resist.
Well, I can't resist, but I chose to. And I took enzymes and activated charcoal to digest it, and I'm feeling really good today. If I did that in the US where they spray glyphosate and everything, I would have just felt like crap today. So that was one of those things where it was a calculated risk. But the idea that I don't have to resist it, no. The way I see food right now, every food is a drug. Okay, what does that drug do? Well, I know that if I eat the low-quality chicken breast, I'm not going to feel as good the next day. And is there a better choice? So you always see me order wild-caught fish or grass-fed beef. And if there's neither one of those, then I'll order the vegetables. I don't eat industrial meat. But it's okay for someone who can't afford to do that, or you're just really hungry, get the leanest cut of beef you can find if it's industrial meat, and get the fattiest cut you can find if it's grass-fed meat. And so I typically eat a filet mignon. If I had to eat industrial meat, which I'll fast before I'll do that. And when I travel, I always bring protein powder with me. I also bring MCT oil, which works really well for raising ketosis. And that means I can eat anywhere. And that means I always get at least 80 grams of protein a day. You tell yourself a story that gives the protein, but there's no way anyone can do that in one sitting. In OMAD, it's just not possible. The other thing that you're probably not doing is taking digestive enzymes with every meal. If you were to take, say, 60 grams of protein in a meal, which is still a very big meal, more than you want, your stomach probably can't break it down. So then you waste the protein. So what I do with every meal is I take a little digestive enzyme that contains enzymes that break down protein called protease. And that means that when I eat that steak, I make use of every bit of that steak. And it works. I don't exercise. I run Upgrade Labs.
You don't exercise?
You go to ownandupgradelabs.com. This is a franchise now across all of the US and Canada where you can open a facility. So I do about 5 minutes a week. That's my exercise. And except that I will say in the last 3 months, yesterday I did lift weights because I was kind of bored. I wanted to, but that was literally, I haven't been in a gym in 3 months. What Upgrade Labs does is we use artificial intelligence algorithms to control your cardiovascular without sweating and to put muscle on 3 times faster than you would normally do in the gym. So now we know how to send a signal into the body to make it, in your case, to make it stop having cancer. And then at Upgrade Labs, you can put on muscle, you can do cardio, you can train the brain with feedback all in one facility. And the idea there is, well, things to do, because if your testosterone is where it should be, if your thyroid is where it should be, well, now you have things that matter. You have things you want to do. And what you don't want to do is spend an hour riding a little bike, sweating, having someone yell at you in a studio. It doesn't even work.
Yeah.
I can do 6 times better than that in 5 minutes of training without sweating. So I do that.
Of course.
And that's why being lazy really works well. So your job is you're going to get your energy back. You're going to actually eat the protein you think you're eating. You're not going to worry if you have some carbs on occasion. Your body will actually relax when you get some carbs. But don't eat hummus. Don't eat high fructose corn syrup. Don't eat low quality carbohydrates. Don't eat popcorn. Don't eat cookies. Don't eat grains. You could do white rice. You could do sweet potatoes. You could do some fruit. You could do some raw honey. And those are good sources. Have them with dinner. Have some dark chocolate. We shared some recently,
Yes.
right? That's fine. And so now all of a sudden you're not on a zero carb diet. Your body will relax because it gets some carbs. It doesn't have to metabolically create carbs from protein, which is a wasteful process. And then it says, oh, now I have enough. Let me work on this. And you'll grow your own 6-pack. Deal? All right.
Thank you,
Solve your
friends.
problem.
You see?
Here, you got to shake
You
hands.
see?